Look at this. What we have here is not just one, but a few police officers, state troopers, highway patrolmen navigating some sort of obstacle course. Do you ever just stumble across things and wonder what the heck is happening and just have to take your very best guess? Well, that is what's happening to me right now in Carson City. And this is the Sometimes Vlog. It's a vlog, it happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens in Old Town Carson City, here in front of the Nevada Commission on Tourism, and I have absolutely no idea what is happening at all. I'm not gonna pretend, I'm not gonna Google it and then lie and pretend I knew what in the world was happening. I parked a few blocks away, heard all these shenanigans going on, and decided to walk down here by the Nugget Casino, by the Mall Luxalt State Building, right near the Capitol building of the state of Nevada on Telegraph Street. And what is this? I have no idea what road this is. That's what I was just gonna say is, if you ever just stumble across something, you have no idea what's going on, but you just go with it, I hope you do, because let me tell you, that is what makes life worth living. Look at these guys. They're getting all crazy. They're getting all crazy. Now, if I rode my motorcycle like that, and I don't have one, but if, for example, I did, or my Mustang on the street like that, one of these guys would definitely have something to say about it. So these guys are probably pretty excited to be laying in the garden, just going crazy, having some shenanigans. I really have no idea what's going on, but there are a lot of police officers everywhere. John Hammond is here, just taking a break from all the hubbub around Jurassic World. There's all kinds of casinos here. Not too huge of a crowd, so I'm not sure if this is a big weekend event, because it is, after all, of course, Friday. Hello, ladies. It is, after all, Friday. What's that?
CCS.
Oh, okay. They're inmates. So we have inmates and we have police officers. What is going on here? What is all of this?
This will answer all your questions.
This will answer all of my questions, even the ones about life, love, and the universe. Here we go. Carson City, Nevada, Battleborn Brews, Bikes and Bubbly, June 26th and 27th, 2015. So things are just kicking off here for the weekend. It's about to be a whole weekend of motorcycles and booze and festivities. That's what I thought. So it looked like they were getting set up. So we have bands setting up here. We have some sort of pond, some sort of thing. There are a lot of men with crazy facial hair here. You don't ever notice that when you get a lot of alcohol, a lot of motorcycles, and the Old West involved, you start to see a lot more sideburns. You ever see some sideburns? Anyways, I came from this way. I was wandering around historic Carson City for a very good reason. Nevada, the state of Nevada, was actually originally the territory of Nevada. Before it was officially a state, it was a territory carved out of what used to be Utah territory. But the discovery of gold and silver on the old Comstock helped to spur things along, speed the process up. They cut Nevada territory separate from all those Mormons in Utah and created the Nevada territory right when Abraham Lincoln was becoming the president. Well, one of the people who campaigned for Abraham Lincoln as president, look at this. Look at these guys just building away. This is a very historic part of town. I don't know what any of these buildings are, but you can see some of them are pretty darn old. Anyway, right as Abraham Lincoln was becoming president, hello, Nevada was becoming a territory. Look at this. I wonder if this is actually a historical mural detailing the history of businesses that were here or not. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is what I like wandering around for, because I'm learning. Here we have Myers Hardware, I mentioned more than once. So I'm assuming that is actually a mural representing a real history of a building that used to be here in this place. Anyway, Nevada was just becoming a territory when Abraham Lincoln became president. Where was I? Oh yeah, see, here's all the police officers getting ready for their turn to go hog wild over there. Ah, that police officer almost ran me over. Officer, I need a police officer because this police officer almost ran me over. That's just a little joke there. I don't actually want to ask one off. Anyways, Abraham Lincoln was just becoming president. One of the people who campaigned stumped for him, as it were, in a very contested state of Missouri was a man by the name of Orion, not Orion, Orion Clemens. Orion Clemens. Missouri was 50-50. 50% of the population was super pro-slavery because there were a lot of slaves and slave holders in the state of Missouri, and 50% of the population was very pro-union, very loyalist. So Orion Clemens was very much on the loyalist, union, anti-slavery side and campaigned for Abraham Lincoln in the state of Missouri. As a reward, when the Civil War broke out, Abraham Lincoln granted him the secretaryship of the territory, the brand new territory of Nevada. It's one of those campaign favors, you know, little corruption there. Oh, you helped me be elected, so you get signed off to go over to wherever. So Orion Clemens gets to become the secretary of the new territory of Nevada. The governor was a guy by the name of James Nye, who was a Tammany Hall politician from New York. I won't say he was as crooked as a corkscrew, but he definitely wasn't straight as a ruler. And with him comes the super moralist, crazy Orion Clemens. This is a long story, but it gets good in a second. Orion Clemens happened to have a younger brother who was a Mississippi River steamboat pilot. The Mississippi River was closed by the Civil War, and rather than joining the Confederate forces or having to join the Union forces, because he was pretty torn between, am I a Southerner, am I a Northerner, a young Samuel Clemens took off with his brother in a stagecoach over the old plains, way before railroads, over the Old West, and came out here to Carson City, Nevada, where there was not yet a state capital or a territorial capital building or anything like that. So Orion Clemens gets here. There's no building to operate a government out of. There's nothing to do. So he has to basically create a place to have the state, you know, the territorial legislature. If I say state, I mean territorial. Legislature, all this different stuff. So he rents some rooms upstairs in a hotel. He puts a curtain down the middle of the room, so half of it could be the House, half of it could be the Senate, and basically became acting governor most of the time since James Nye was off back east and doing all kinds of other stuff, expanding his personal fortune. Orion Clemens was sort of de facto governor of the territory of Nevada for years and years and years. Well, that younger brother of his ended up coming out here, trying his hand at mining, and not being very good at it. So he ended up running for a newspaper in Virginia City, Nevada, where I was yesterday, and became, of course, Mark Twain. That's right. Samuel Clemens, the younger brother of Orion Clemens, became the world famous, the Lincoln of our literature, Mark Twain, author of Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, Roughing It, The Innocents Abroad, Life on the Mississippi, all of those classic books. And my personal favorite historical character and author, pretty funny guy. Anyway, so the state capitol, which is just down over there. What was I even going to say? Oh, so the Capitol building, which is just down over there, is at the heart of the historic Carson City district, and there's all these historic homes here, one of which happens to be this. Ta-da! Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! The home of Orion Clemens! Yay! You might have seen this actually in my video about Virginia City, this random land video from not that long ago. I was pretty excited to come visit the home of Orion Clemens. I thought I would stop by on my way out of Virginia City and on my way back out of Nevada and back down towards California. I thought, I'm going to stop by the home of Orion Clemens again, maybe do a little bit of a vlog. And then, of course, I got distracted by all the sounds of rumbling motorcycles and all the crazy police going a million miles an hour through this neighborhood to get down there and have their fun-tivities. So anyway, the Battleborn thing is going on there. That was an interesting little diversion, but right here is what I'm really interested in. Let all those other dudes be into leather and booze and ladies and bikes and stuff. I'm coming over here looking at the home of a very long-forgotten territorial secretary. Orion Clemens basically lived out of boarding houses and had to do all this crazy government stuff. He pretty much screwed himself over quite a lot. He was one of those characters in history that just never had any luck. He was married to a lady named Molly. They had a little daughter here named Jenny who passed away. Very, very sad. But he worked really hard through the first 4 years of the Nevada territory, you know, establishing himself as a politician, all this different stuff. Well, when it came time for Nevada to become a state, Orion Clemens seemed like a shoo-in for governor. After all, he had been the acting governor and all this stuff. So he was running for office when Nevada was becoming a state. Unfortunately, it was just at that time he decided that he was going to become a teetotaler, which means that he not only quit drinking, but also turned against people who did drink. So, a teetotaler. He was anti-drinking. Trying to think, not a prohibitionist, but basically that. A teetotaler, that's what it's called. So Orion Clemens decides he's going to be anti-liquor right when he's up for election in the Old West. As you can imagine, that didn't go too well. So he practiced law privately for 2 years before giving up and heading back east to the States, as they were called then, and basically doing not all that much successfully for the rest of his life. He sort of peaked right here, and this was the house that he built here in Carson City, Nevada. At the height of his success as territorial secretary and acting governor most of the time, this was the Orion Clemens house. He practiced law here for 2 years and then ended up having to try to rent out rooms and different stuff before eventually packing it in and headed back east. But the reason why this house is super important to me, someone who's super into Mark Twain stuff, is because it was on a visit to Carson City in 1863, 1864, that Mark Twain first signed his name as Mark Twain. So Mark Twain was coming down here, or Samuel Clemens first signed his name as Mark Twain. So Sam Clemens was coming down here from Virginia City quite a bit. Even when he lived in San Francisco, he would pop back over and visit. He would have visited his brother in this very house. This stucco is not original. This was added over the wood siding. Yeah, it's right here. Now it's a law office, so I don't want to bug anyone if they're still here. Technically, there's still people inside conducting their office business, so I don't want to be too crazy, but this right here was Orion Clemens' front door. Sam Clemens, Mark Twain, would have walked through this door and spent time here. So it could have been, I'm a little fuzzy on the dates, but it could have been in this very home from which he signed the very first letter back to the newspaper in Virginia City and signed the dispatch as Mark Twain. Could have happened right in here, but certainly the man himself spent time in this very house. What's weird about it is it's down here in the old part of Carson City, and there's all these kind of normal houses and apartments, little law offices and little government buildings, of course, because the state capitol is right over there. But for the most part, it's just a pretty nondescript house. Amazing to think that a legend, a world famous legend, one of the most talented men of all time, could have had his career born right here on this property, or if not here, very, very nearby in Carson City. Anyway, I'm still on my road trip filming Random Land Adventures. Yesterday, it took 12 hours to get that super long vlog from Virginia City uploaded, so I don't feel bad showing you this boring little piece of history, because yesterday, we had all kinds of wacky adventures in Virginia City, and I spent 12 hours basically watching water boil, as that video would not upload in the very spotty Wi-Fi in Virginia City. If you're gonna go to Virginia City, Nevada, be prepared for no cell phone service and no Wi-Fi to speak of. I ended up having to drive to Reno, where a friend of mine lives, and upload the vlog from her house, where I met her very cool boyfriend, biker boyfriend, who was telling me all kinds of crazy ghost stories and basically traumatizing me before I had to return to Virginia City and spend the night in a haunted Silver Queen hotel. I didn't see any ghosts though, not this time. Anyway, it took a very, very long time. So today I filmed another video, Random Land Adventure in Virginia City, and now I'm headed back towards California. My plan, and I'm just showing you the Orion Clemens house here because I'm very excited about it. My plan was to go to Death Valley, California, Death Valley National Park in California, and film. That was the whole thing, but because this crazy heat wave came along, look, a lady on a scooter, that's neat. Maybe she's gonna go hang out with those cops down there. Because there was this crazy heat wave coming along, I thought I could wait out the heat, do some other video stuff north of Death Valley, and then swoop down on my way back. Well, it turns out I am not going to miss the heat wave at all. Right now, the temperature down there is in the 120 plus degree range, and it's not the crazy funnest, well, it's not the most fun sounding thing in the entire world, so I may or may not be going to Death Valley. I'm still planning on it, but I don't know what's going to happen. I certainly don't want to die and become mummified. In the worst parts of Death Valley, you can actually, just through evaporation, lose 4 gallons of water in a single day. 4 gallons of water from your body, from evaporation. 4 gallons. Now that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, because it only takes 2 gallons before you pretty much start dying, and 3 gallons before you're dead. At 3.5 gallons of water loss, you're pretty much turning into a mummy. So it's pretty severe weather down there. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to make it on this trip or not. I really, really hope so, because I don't want to miss it and then end up having to wait all the way till September or October or something crazy like that to go back to Death Valley. So I'm right on the fence. So I'm headed back down towards Southern California. ready for adventure, ready for detours and side trips and crazy things. I'm never closed-minded when it comes to this stuff. I don't have too much of a schedule other than I have to be back by the 1st of the month. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I had to stop here before leaving the state of Nevada once again, here in the capital of Carson City, the home of Orion Clemens, Mark Twain's older, much less successful brother. He was one of those guys who could never decide what side of the moral fence he was on. So one day he would be fine with alcohol, he would be hanging with all these hard drinking, crusty politicians, and the next day he'd be a teetotaler. And one day he'd want to practice law. That's what he was going to do. He was going to be a lawyer, and he'd be fighting for the little guy, and he'd be doing all this stuff. And the next day he'd want to be a politician again, and the next day he'd decide he wanted to be a minister, so he'd try to be a minister. But even though he tried to be a minister, he kept switching denominations of his faith, so he was never too successful at one thing or another. His brother Sam, Mark Twain, as he became more successful and had money, basically paid for his brother Orion's existence for years and years and years, and tried to support him going into whatever career that Orion would choose to go into. Unfortunately, he kept just sort of self-sabotaging. So if there's any lesson to be learned from Orion Clemens, it's to not self-sabotage. Figure out exactly what you want and go for it. Do not deviate from your own plan just because things get tough. If things get a little bit tough and your heart doesn't feel in it at the moment, don't just give up. Because for all you know, you could be shooting yourself in the foot. Stick to it. Sometimes things don't seem worth it in the short term, but in the long term, they'll come out all right. And if you just let yourself get tossed around like a boat on the waves of the ocean, you're never gonna get anywhere. You gotta steam ahead, full speed ahead, like a Mississippi River steamboat into destiny, like Mark Twain. So be a Sam Clemens, not an Orion Clemens. But it is cool that Sam did end up helping, as much as it annoyed him, his older brother, until Orion ended up passing away years and years later. Especially given that Orion Clemens is the person who helped Sam out of a jam to get out of Missouri and out here to the Old West, where, of course, not only did he support him in his prospecting days, but then also helped him land the job as that newspaper reporter for the Territorial Enterprise in Virginia City, where the boy who was Sam Clemens, well, the young man who was Sam Clemens, became the legend Mark Twain. Last time I was here filming Random Land, there was a dead bird right here. It was really sad. It was clearly not a native bird. It was some very colorful pet-looking bird, and he was dead. It was very tragic. It was very tragic. Now I'm here on this cloudy, very humid day for Nevada. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It was really cool to be able to nerd out and spend time doing Mark Twain things. I was reading Roughing It in Virginia City last night when I got back into that hotel. I was sitting down on the street reading a chapter or two of the book Roughing It by Mark Twain out there. I highly, highly recommend it if you've never read it. But here, this is right in Carson City. So if you live in Carson City or you're anywhere near it, it's right on Spear and Division Street on the corner. Spear and Division Street, 502 North Division Street, just steps away from the Capitol. There's a really cool museum with like a two-headed sheep and all this weird stuff down here. I didn't actually make it to it before it closed. That was another intention of mine, was to bring you guys on a crazy vlogging adventure to a two-headed sheep. I'm not sure I could make a whole Random Land, but I'm definitely going to be back someday at some point. I'm actually really starting to fall in love with this part of Nevada, Virginia City, Carson City, just the environs surrounding all this stuff, but especially Virginia City. It's a really, 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 really interesting town. All kinds of crazy bikers and clampers, which are E-Clampus Vetus, and all of these crazy, weird, strange people collect there. And if you spend enough time in the town, I ended up making all these different friends with people who lived in the town. Once they saw me there for multiple days, they're like, hey, you're not a tourist just passing through. What are you doing here? So everyone in the town ends up being really friendly and really kind of nice. Except, of course, if you were watching Periscope, which is that live streaming app, the other night when I exited the Mark Twain Casino at like 1 or 2 in the morning to Periscope and talk to you guys. Of course, we had some crazy drunks that came out and said some crazy things, and it's a wild time. It's the Old West. What do you want? It's the Wild West. It's the Wild West out here. Anyway, I'm headed back down south on US 395. I know this is pretty rambling, pretty long vlog. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Live Fast Die Poor, also Snapchat Live Fast Die Poor, Twitter Justin Scarred, and Periscope, the live streaming thing. If I get a chance to do any periscoping, I will most certainly do so on this adventure and others to support some more crazy vlogs like yesterday's more than like today's, and you know, crazy road trips in the future and more videos, especially the random lane ones. You can go to patreon.com/JustinScar or go to livefastdieport@spreadshirt.com for all our crazy t-shirts. I really appreciate you guys watching each and every one of these vlogs. We will spend more time together very soon. Just a little rushed. I didn't have time to build, to scale, or paint this vlog because I had to make a choice this morning. Do I do another crazy Virginia City vlog for 40 minutes and stick the camera in people's face and get really excited and hyper? Or do I squeeze off another random land video? So I had to make a tough call there. Sometimes random land really does suffer because of doing the vlogs, but I really appreciate you guys watching the vlogs a lot more. For some reason, I really like doing them more too. I don't know, it's always a toss-up. Which one's my first love? Which one's my first priority? So this morning it was random land, and so that's why today you get the Orion Clemens house. So hopefully you learned something today. I know I did. I learned about the Battleborn biker event with the police, and I learned that all the bikers aren't ready to be there and be drunk until those police leave, probably. So I'm gonna get out of town while the police are still there before I'm heimbucked and shanghaied by all kinds of miscreants. All right, I gotta head down south into the desert. I have no idea where I'm gonna lay my head tonight. I have no idea where I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning. And you know what? I don't mind. Adventure is out there. It's summertime. Consider getting off the couch for a little bit, going and having an adventure of your own. I believe in all of you. I love all of you. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe for some more Sometimes vlogs, and I'll see you guys later. Okay? 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 Remember, be a Sam, not an Orion. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut. See you guys later.